Hello, so I'm just going to quickly discuss the one-way ANOVA table. So the one-way ANOVA table is used in order to uh, compare multiple means simultaneously, so you won't have to do a lot of t-tests. So you can just do this ANOVA test. Say you're given this table here. You won't have to use multiple t-tests to check if they have significant impacts to each other. You can just use the ANOVA table. So generally, when you're going to do an ANOVA test, there are I'd like to categorize 5 steps. The first is setting up the first table. The next is computing for the sum of squares. Next is computing for the degrees of freedom, so that's third. Fourth is computing for the F ratio, and fifth is conclusion. Okay, so we're going to discuss all of this, so don't you worry. Okay, so this is the example that I'll use for the video. So it says here, test if the groups differ in performance. So we're going to see if these 4 groups have a significant difference. So we're just going to label each group as an x value. So group 1 will be called x1, group 2 will be called x2, group 3 will be called x3, and group 4 will be called group 4, so that we can identify which values these x come from. Next, so we're going to first declare the what do you call this? We're going to declare the null hypothesis first, which basically states that there's no significant difference. Then we're going to also discuss. We're going to also write down the alternative hypothesis that says there is a difference, and it's going to state what type of tests we have, which is ANOVA, and the next is the type of significance. Now, we're gonna go over to our first step, which is setting up the values that we need. So the values that we need are the square of the given values, the sum of all those squares, and the number of items per group. Okay, so whenever you're given a table, let's say you're given this table, you're going to write it down where the group has 2 parts. The first part is the original given, and the next is the squared of those given. So it's very self-explanatory. Um, the given is you're just going to write down what's given, and and for the second part, which is the square, you're just going to multiply it to itself. So 20, that will be 20 times 20, and so on and so forth. 18 times 18, and 18 times 18. Okay, so you're just going to do that for all of these values. Next, once you have computed for the squares of the given values, you're gonna go down to the table and you're gonna write down their sums. So what you're going to do is to write down the sum of. So then you're gonna write down the label on the top of the table. So it's x1 here. So the sum of x1 is equals to. Then you're just gonna add all of the values. Okay. You're just gonna add all of this. Okay. You're just gonna add all of it, and that same goes for here, same goes for here, same goes for here, here, and there, and that's all you need. Okay. And once you've summed it all up, you're just gonna write down right beside here, but I prefer it below the table so that you won't get confused. Okay. And lastly, you will also need the n, so the number of items per group. So number of items for group 1, number of items for group 2, number of items for group 3, oops, that's an M, for group 3, and number of items for group 4. And once you've computed for the total number of items per group, you're just going to total it and label it as NT. So it's going to be n plus 1, n1 plus n2 plus n3 plus n4, and that's basically what you all need for this setup. Okay, so just give me a moment. I'm just going to write down and solve for the values. So, ayan, natapos ko ng isum and i-compute lahat ng values. So, basically, yung mga total, sinulat ko lang sila lahat dito para mas madali silang mabasa. Yan. And sinulat ko na din yung total nung group 1 has 10, group 2 has 2, group 3 has 3, group 3 has 10, and group 4 has 10. And in total, there are 40 values. So, pag chinek natin dito, pares lang yan. Na-check ko na yan. So, yan. So, those are the given values. Next, kapag na-compute mo na yung mga given values, sunod natin pupunta is dito sa pagko-compute ng sum of squares. So, tinakpan ko muna yung answer para pag sinove natin, check na lang natin. So, ang first step sa pag-compute ng sum of squares is compute natin yung sum of squares total. Okay? There are 3 sum of squares. SST, SSB, and SSW. Okay, so first is we're going to compute for SST, sum of squares total. So basically, sum of squares total is equals to the sum of x total squared minus, okay, wait lang. So sum of x total squared, so ito, x total squared minus x total, sum of x total is square nyo, then n total, so yun maximum. So para hindi tayo malito, sulit natin sa taas dito. So yung x total squared is, so lagyan natin dito, x total squared is equals to 7872. Tapos si sum of x total is equals to 544. And then si sum of n total, ay hindi naman sum, n total lang. Si n total is equals to 40. So yan, so para hindi tayo bumaba sa kabilang slide. Okay, now that we have the values, we're just going to write down the values sa formula. Okay, so sulat natin si formula. S total is equals to sum of xt squared. So ito yon, x total squared. So 7872 minus sum of x total tapos squared. So si x total, tapos sinabi dito is-square din natin siya, so lagyan natin ng square, and over n total, so this one. So we're just going to write down 40 here sa baba. Okay, so pagtapos nyan, so ipa-plug mo lang yan sa calculator na 7,872 minus 544 squared over 40, and you will get the value of 473.6. So yan din naman yan. Yan, ganyan yung solution. So pag nilagay mo sa calculator tong 7872 minus 544 squared over 40, makukuha mo si 473.6. Okay, so make sure to take down din pala si ST kasi kailangan pa yan sa mga susunod na formula. So ganun lang kasimple si SST.